says you need a vacation for a view like this? Or, I wish there was a place to get in shape. Try getting on the beaten path. Discover an ever-expanding network of trails and greenways. Some quintessential southern beauty. Or romp through the woods in a magical land between the rivers. There's more to explore than you ever imagined. Beyond the swing sets. Breck, we are more than a playground.
Hi, business owners. Phase 3. Woohoo! But do your customers know you're back? Well, that's where the Clarence Buggs Show and Pelican Broadcasting can help. Right now, we've got great rates on advertising packages to help you get the word out. Shoot me an email at bugsclarence@gmail.com. Or better yet, call me up. I'd love to talk with you. 225-485-6839. Let's get together and make Phase 3 the best it can possibly be.
Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
Getting a letter from the IRS that you owe back taxes can be scary, but it doesn't have to be. Call Go Tax Resolution in Lafayette at 337-420-1040 today. We'll help stop garnishments, levies, and seizures immediately. With over 35 years of dealing directly with the IRS, our team of local professionals will help you pay the least amount possible. So if you owe back taxes to the IRS, you need help. Call the tax professionals at Go Tax Resolution in Lafayette at 337-420-1040. Your go-to tax relief.
Hello and welcome to week 5 of the Coach Roger Cador Show. Clarence Buggs along with the coach. Week 5, man, time really flies when you're having fun, doesn't it?
I'm telling you, but it's a good thing.
Yeah.
Moving than not.
Oh, yeah. Now, I said when you're having fun, if we were wearing purple and gold, it might be a little different story as far as how much fun we're having. LSU, 24-19 loses to Auburn. First time Auburn has come in and taken the measure of the Tigers in 22 years in Death Valley. But LSU let Auburn hang around, and sure enough, you do this with a decent team, they're going to find a way to beat you.
Well, I've heard that often before. You allow a team to hang around. Mm-hmm. And I'm one of those people who used to say that to my player. You allow them to hang around.
Right.
Well, they earned the right to hang around, because they played that way. Well, they forced LSU into not being able to be as successful as they would like to have been on the offensive side of the ball.
One of the first lessons I learned from the late Grambling coach Eddie Robinson when I was hosting his TV show is that one play never makes a game. There would be a big controversial play, game-winning play, and in the post-game interview, I would talk with him about that, and the first thing he told me, he said, let me stop you right there. He said, one play never makes a game. I said, but Coach, on that particular play, he said, no, we had 11 guys on the field, every play before that one play, and if all of them had done their jobs, we would not have been in a position where that one play cost us the game. Same thing here?
Well, I'm not going to say, one play never costs you the game. It looks that way,
right.
But it probably wasn't something you didn't do early in the game that could. I mean, there are a lot of things you
or
look
the
at.
play right before that one play.
Yeah, so it's it's a multitude of things, and you feel bad for the team. Young people do work hard, Clarence, to prepare to try and win. Unfortunately, Auburn was a better team that night.
You mentioned a multitude of things. One of the things that would have to be in that multitude, and I still find it hard to believe. I want to go back and check the record books to see if it's the worst it's ever been. but the stat line Sunday read 29 yards rushing on 24 attempts. You can't beat anybody with that kind of a lack of a rushing attack.
Yes, well, I will agree with you. 29-yard rushing, 24 attempt. I mean, that's 1.0 something.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be successful, and it's demoralizing to be quite frank with you. But you know what? They came close to winning even with that poor rushing performance.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, far be it from me to ever second guess you, but are you just are you desperately trying to find a silver lining in this cloud? I mean, the fact that they almost won, and here's why I ask that. You settle for field goals on the 14-yard line, the 8-yard line, the 5-yard line. That game, if you don't settle for field goals, the game wouldn't have even been close.
Well, the defense, Auburn made them settle for field goal.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to give the opponent some credit. And remember, from a coaching standpoint, you asked about a silver lining in the sky.
Right. Why is the sky blue?
Why is the sky blue? We have to, as coaches, try to find something to say to our players to give them hope and confidence that we could have won. Mm-hmm. You got me?
Yeah.
Let them know if you execute just a little better.
Mentally, where do you think this team is right now?
I don't know. I know they have a game against Kentucky coming up Saturday.
Yeah.
So today is probably a rehearsal day. They go through some plays that they're going to use, and they got to work on some defensive strategy against Kentucky. So I just see them as, in a position. It's a game on the schedule.
Yeah.
You got to play them. All the SEC games are going to be tough.
Oh, yeah. Let's go ahead and roll the highlights as we continue our conversation from this SEC matchup, LSU and Auburn. When you end up with 29 yards rushing on 24 attempts, it makes you one-dimensional. You pretty much can't beat anybody if they know you're a one-dimensional team.
They look good coming out of that tunnel. Oh, they look good. The band is
That's about the best they looked all night, too, is coming out the tunnel.
Oh, with the band on each side. Oh, look at them. Look at the fans. Oh, Death Valley at its best on the Saturday night.
Yeah, and then you come out on the first drive, and you look like world beaters. Is this another case where, as you mentioned, you got to give Auburn credit. They made the necessary adjustments.
Well, I'm going to always do it because you're not just playing against grass on the other side of the ball. You got people over there trying to stop you.
Yeah, yeah. Defensively.
Ooh, what a throw right there.
Defensively, no sacks, very little pressure. That doesn't help your cause any, does it?
Well, it depends. They probably didn't want to over-rush against Nix. They probably were trying to keep him bottled in. You got me?
Right.
So if you go all out rushing him, he probably could hurt you for a lot more yardage than he got.
Well, and I'm glad you brought that up because what was most bothersome to me about the night was the lack of assignment football. After X number of times where you're burned by the legs of Bo Nix, at what point do you say, okay, we know we're not getting pressure on this guy the way we would like to. At least, if nothing else, we maintain containment. I mean, that's football 101. You don't let the guy beat you by getting outside of containment.
Let me tell you, all what we're talking about, those coaches rehearsed that.
Yeah.
I think what happened when you got on the field, Bo Nix forced him not to be able to maintain containment.
Yeah.
I think that's what good players do. You got me?
Well, yeah.
So they worked on it because they knew his strength was his legs.
Yeah.
And they weren't able to contain him.
It's as we watch the special teams play right there, it makes it that much tougher when special teams stepped up and did their job, particularly LSU place kicker Cade York. The guy remains money. 4 field goals. The longest one was 51 yards.
Not bad. But you know what? Again, they have to find a way to make 19 points win. On the night when they can only score 19, you got to win with that.
Yeah. It's a tough pill to swallow, and you look at, as we just talking about Cade York not long ago, when you score 19 points in the SEC, when you're talking about programs the likes of Auburn, Georgia, Florida, Alabama, more recently Texas A&M, even Arkansas for that matter, realistically, what do you think your chances are you're going to come out with a win and you only post 19 points?
Well, you say only. That's not bad. I mean, 19 points is 19 points. And I just think that down the road is going to be good enough against certain teams. Mm-hmm. I think it could beat Arkansas. It's possible it could beat Kentucky with 19 points.
No, anything's possible. I mean, ask the Wizard of Oz. Anything's possible.
Well,
now, is it probable is another show for another day. Losing at home to Auburn, first time in 22 years. You got to know that's not going to sit well with the LSU faithful.
Nothing sits well with the players. So why would you expect that?
Good point. Good point.
Listen, if I was Bebe Ogeron, I wouldn't go have a sleepover at one of those people's houses this week, okay? They would scalp him. Bebe, don't go. Just stay in your office and try to get them ready for Kentucky.
Speaking of Kentucky, road does not get any easier this week because Kentucky's smelling themselves. They're feeling themselves these days after knocking off. Speaking of crazy season so far, first time in 35 years, Kentucky beat Florida at home. So conventional wisdom says one or two things is going to happen. Either they're going to suffer a huge letdown, or they're going to start believing in what the coach is selling, and LSU is going to be in for another dogfight.
Well, let me just say this. You used 22 years LSU hadn't lost to Auburn at home.
Right.
You're using 25 years.
35.
I'm sorry. Florida hadn't lost to Alabama. That means nothing.
Yeah.
All of those, I don't even consider those numbers to be relevant.
Uh-huh.
It's now that matters.
Yeah, that's why you got to lace them up. You don't play the game on paper.
Yeah.
You got to lace them up and play on the field.
And those numbers about 35 and 22, oh, man, that means no, it's what – see, because it's what the coaching staff, the players they have assembled and how they coach them, what they're ready to do at this time in the program history.
Having seen what you've seen of LSU so far this season, is the problem X's and O's, or is the problem a lack of Joes?
You got me.
Be honest with me. You always are. What's your gut tell you? What's your heart tell you? X's and O's or Joes? Or both?
It could be a little bit of both. It could be. I mean, me reading the paper, because I really don't critique a whole bunch of stuff with the coaches, but reading the paper and the offense from the offensive side, they can't get the plays in fast enough.
Right.
I do know something that happens with kids, student athletes. Mm-hmm. If you give them an opportunity to question your ability to help them be successful, you got problems.
They're going to find a way to do just that.
I'm telling you. And I could see, with all of the bickering going on, all of the negativity associated with the program, some of those players, that's been a dent in the armor. Mm-hmm. Just that's all you need. Mm-hmm. And when things go bad, they don't do their very best.
Yeah. For a lot of people, a major problem with this Auburn loss was play calling. Not so much getting the play in on time as, say, in the fourth quarter. you've got the lead, 3 possessions in a row, you throw the ball every down. You've got the lead, 4th quarter. If you run it, you're not only running the football, you're running the clock. And Auburn doesn't have enough time to come back. It just doesn't sit well with a lot of people in that regard. Now, that being said, looking at the remainder of the schedule down the road, if they don't fix that real soon, it's going to be a tough road to hoe for the remainder of the 2021 season.
I want to go back to the play calling situation. See, them players looking at the clock too. These players are not dumb.
Oh no,
they know that you should be attempting to run the ball. How are you going to build the confidence?
Right.
Because you gotta try and run it, even though you hadn't been able to. Give it a try.
Yeah.
You got me?
Yeah.
And because it's something when kids know the game is on the line, we got to do the job now. See, victory is in sight in the 4th quarter.
Right.
It's a lot different than in the 1st and 2nd quarter. They can smell it. So challenge them to get that job done. And
of course, now the only way you can do that is you have to hold up your end with play calling best suited to reach the W.
That's right. I mean, you got to tell them, guys, we're running it.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to do your job. Do your job. Create a small crease, hole in the line. We'll get through it. I mean, those kind of things I just think that you have to do. And, I mean, it's something about this up here.
Yeah.
Boy, if you got that thing working in the right place, it can make that body do a lot of good things.
As a wise fellow that I once knew was fond of saying, your job is to do your job.
He meant, well, that was pretty simple.
Pretty simple,
and
yet
did.
Very smart. Just say it. First break of today's show. When we come back, we'll shift gears from purple and gold to blue and gold as we continue week 5 of the Coach Roger Cador Show. Stay close.
Got termites? Get Premier Pest. PremierPestServices.com.
Hey, Coach Roger Cador here. There's something about teamwork that brings the best out in any business. When I need a tow, I call Roadrunner Towing. Roadrunner's 4 generations strong and homegrown right here in Baton Rouge.
Thanks, Coach. There's no job too large or too small. Call Roadrunner for quick, reliable, exceptional service. We don't want an arm and a leg. We just want your toes. And remember, take time each day to be a blessing to someone. Thank you.
Looking to get some keys made, locks rekeyed, or a wide variety of new and used safe? Then look no further than the trusted choice of Alfred Safe & Lock. Conveniently located off of Government Street in Mid-City, Baton Rouge. Trust the expert locksmith at Alfred for all of your residential, commercial, and industrial lock and safe needs. Trusted by Baton Rouge and me, Roger Cador, to protect what is yours since 1946.
Some Baton Rouge business travelers travel out of Baton Rouge. Some don't. The ones that do know BTR is all about being closer, more convenient, with non-stops and short hops to anywhere their business takes them. They also know not flying BTR means more traffic, longer lines, and wasted time. So if it's about going from driveway to runway with a lot less highway, isn't it about time you flew BTR? Baton Rouge Metro Airport. It's about time.
Caught spiders? Premier Pest Services.
Welcome back to week 5 of the Coach Roger Cador Show. Clarence Buggs along with the coach. Let's travel across town from South Baton Rouge to North Baton Rouge and change our colors from purple and gold to blue and gold. Jags taking on Texas Southern in Arlington, Texas this weekend. A little further drive than what we normally take on Texas Southern in the Houston area. What's your gut tell you? Are the Jags going to travel this weekend, the Jaguar Nation?
Well, I really can't tell you if they will. What's in Arlington?
Great question. Great question.
A lot of time they go to Houston. I think they go to shopping. They got cousins, relatives there.
Huge alumni base
there. So, Arlington, I don't expect it to be a big draw. I just think that it's plus Texas Southern is probably not the kind of opponent that will bring. They're not going to travel anyone.
No.
So, is you're looking for Southern to bring the whole shebang, it's not going to fly, in my opinion.
Typically, a lot of schools gravitate toward putting Southern on the schedule because they know that the Jaguar Nation travels like very few other HBCUs do. But in reality, does this also, if the crowd doesn't materialize, as we have yet to see them do so far this season, is this the reality of how disproportionately an event like Hurricane Ida has affected the black community in Baton Rouge and South Louisiana as far as no longer having that disposable income to hit the road and let's go cheer for the Jaguars?
No, and also the pandemic. We got to include that in the scenario.
Yeah.
People have to take into consideration the danger of being all on top of each other. You got me?
Right.
So I think the more than Ida and all of those other things, the pandemic has created a havoc on a lot of sporting events.
We will roll a montage that our dear friend Jonathan has put together out in the truck of offensive plays of the Jaguars so far this season as we continue our conversation. Right now, Alcorn is tied with us for second in the West. Prairie View, having played more conference games and not lost any conference games, sits all alone in first place. Kind of brings on added significance for this game to be sure that we can keep pace with Alcorn and still control our own destiny, right?
Oh, I would say Alcorn is going to be the team to beat in the West, and they haven't shown anything other than they're ready to play.
Yeah.
And they can come back and win games. So I expect Alcorn to be the team to beat along with Prairie View.
Yeah.
In the West. I can't really say much about the East, right now, but I know the West, Prairie View, Alcorn is the two team to beat. Southern could be a third team you have to watch.
When you look at the fact that 9 out of the last 10 times we've laced them up against Texas Southern, Jaguars have come away with the win. All your years of dealing with young people, college-age individuals, I hear you laughing already. How tough is it to get them to understand the importance and the magnitude that you don't take this team lightly, you don't overlook this team, because if you do, you run the risk of losing control of your own destiny?
I really love your hard work. You do your research. You're a research genius.
Well, I don't know about all that. I just do my job.
You find all of this stat 9 times out of 10 Southern beat Texas Southern. Well, again, it's only thing that matters is what's going to happen this year. Because those teams that beat 9 out of 10, the players ain't there anymore.
Right.
So
good point.
That's why I don't really like those numbers, because they could be misleading to young people,
right?
Thinking that all they have to do is show up.
Right.
In reality, you got to play. You have to play the game. We don't know what happened from year to year, if they got some transfers that came in.
Yeah.
You just don't know. So, but based upon what I know, Southern have a good chance of beating Texas Southern.
When you look at the restructuring in the conference with the addition of Florida A&M and Bethune-Cookman and Alcorn now being shifted over to the Western Division in the SWAC. Are we witnessing the dawn of the new, at least in football, premier rivalry for Southern? I mean, for so many years it's been Southern Grambling. And lo and behold now, at least in this particular year, Prairie View has already beaten Grambling, so they no longer control their own destiny. Are we witnessing the birth of the new key rivalry in the Western Division?
I would say you nailed it on that one. I think they go to the Bayou Classic because of tradition and the Grambling Southern. But Alcorn is the rivalry. That's the team you got to beat.
Yeah.
If you want a championship.
Yeah.
If you really want to play for the championship, you got to beat Alcorn.
The road to the SWAC championship, at least in football, at least for the time being, goes through Lorman, Mississippi.
Well, in this tournament, it's going to be in Baton Rouge.
Well, yeah, this time, but you still got to go through that team.
Yeah, for everybody else, it goes through Lorman. If you don't beat them, you ain't got. I mean, you know.
Yeah. So, if Ladarius Skelton is healthy, who do you start? Ladarius Skelton or Bubba McDaniel, who so far stepped in and stepped up to keep you rolling in the conference?
I would play the guy Bubba. I mean, he did the job, and because the other kid got hurt, I think, Bubba came in and did the job. So that's not a quarterback controversy. Let's go because he obviously looked like he can throw the ball.
Right.
And Southern runs the ball quite well. So I think he balances out your offense by being able to pass and run.
Yeah. Well, they're definitely balanced. I think I want to say the last game, the Valley game, there was only 6 yards difference between rushing offense and passing offense. The game, and you all forgive me because the name escapes me right off the top of my head. This will be Southern's inaugural appearance in a classic in Arlington, Texas. Have we witnessed the heyday of classics? You know, in HBCU football, there was I can't tell you the number of classics that we've had over the years, and many of them now you see the attendance for whatever reason, disposable income, COVID, hurricanes, whatever. The attendance is not what attendance once was for HBCUs. Have we witnessed the heyday of classics for HBCUs?
I think it's over with. I mean, I just don't see what are they going to do to get it back, unless you really get two teams that are really just talented,
right?
And they want to give up a home date, which most teams don't want to do anymore. You know, and the classics, the money ain't there anymore.
Right.
People can't make money. People were putting classics on because they want to make money too.
Well, yeah.
So how are you going to make money if you got 20,000 people? You need 50,000 people.
Right.
You know.
Right.
And that's how everybody can make money.
I remember distinctly hosting Eddie Robinson's TV show for 12 of the last 14 years that he coached. And I had never set foot, of the 14 years we played Mississippi Valley, I'd never set foot in Itabena because Eddie Robinson, Fred Hobdy, all the folks there, former SID, legendary SID.
Colin Nicholson.
Colin Nicholson, Collie J. They all realized early on it's only so much money we can make playing in Itabena or playing in Grambling.
In Grambling, yes.
Let's take Mississippi Valley someplace where they don't have HBCUs, and folks will spend big money, come out by the tens of thousands to see something they normally don't get to see.
Right.
That was sheer genius.
And television now have changed all of that.
Amen.
They can see them on TV, so they're not gonna. The money ain't there.
No.
So a lot of things change for the betterment. You know, because now, you know, you're on TV. You can go into more homes than if you're playing in a stadium.
Yeah. Yeah.
You see only the people in the stadium can see you.
Yeah.
Now on the TV, everybody, the little ones, can see you.
Yeah.
And they can learn about the historical black universities.
And you don't have to spend anywhere near the amount of money that you'd have to spend to take the whole family to see them in person.
Well, I wanted you to say that.
Of course, now, it's a bit of a double-edged sword, and I'm glad you mentioned that. And we're going to talk about this later on. Exposure is one thing. Dollars is something else. And one of the challenges, I think, main challenges facing HBCUs is to find that middle ground there. Exposure is one thing, but if you're not making any money,
who is going to pay you, Clarence, when there's so much sports on TV and you got your Power 5 conferences?
Right.
Who is going to give? There is no money left.
Yeah. Ironically, I forget who the interview was with, but Coach Prime, in an interview last week, was talking about that very same thing. And he's got a major problem. And I'll get your opinion on this because we're heading into break. But he's got a major problem with ESPN putting HBCUs on a Thursday night. Because our people, let's face it, when it comes to football, we're weekend people. We're weekend people. And consequently, if you got to work on Friday, you might not be in that game on a Thursday night. And what happens is, you get the exposure of being on TV nationwide, but you're looking at an empty stadium. And for a lot of people, it gives the impression we're not supporting our own. And this is not where I want to go and play. I mean, you're on national TV, but look, there's nobody in the stands. So there's a negative aspect to that as well. But we need to stay on time. We'll go ahead and get this break out of the way. Come back after talking purple and gold and blue and gold. We'll shift gears to black and gold and another bitter pill to swallow when we continue Week 5 of the Roger Cador Show, only on the Pelican. Stay close.
Getting a letter from the IRS that you owe back taxes can be scary, but it doesn't have to be. Call Go Tax Resolution in Lafayette at 337-420-1040 today. We'll help stop garnishments, levies, and seizures immediately. With over 35 years of dealing directly with the IRS, our team of local professionals will help you pay the least amount possible. So if you owe back taxes to the IRS, you need help. Call the tax professionals at Go Tax Resolution in Lafayette at 337-420-1040. Your go-to tax relief.
Hi, I'm Hurricane Betsy Barnes.
And I'm Dr. Kay Siller with the Rocket Right Show.
We are two busy blondes on the go showing off life in Louisiana.
Watch us on Pelican Sports Network.
And Talk 107.3 FM. Check local listings for times.
Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
Smart Baton Rouge business travelers travel out of Baton Rouge because BTR is so close and convenient, they're always one step ahead, rather than dead on their feet. So, isn't it about time you flew BTR? Baton Rouge Metro Airport.
Who says you need a vacation for a view like this? Or, I wish there was a place to get in shape. Try getting on the beaten path. Discover an ever-expanding network of trails and greenways. Some quintessential Southern beauty. Or romp through the woods in a magical land between the rivers. There's more to explore than you ever imagined. Beyond the swing sets. Breck, we are more than a playground.
welcome back to week 5 of the Coach Roger Cador Show. Clarence Buggs along with the coach. We shift gears, Coach, and talk a little professional football. 27-21, Giants defeat the Saints in overtime. Giving up a 2-score lead in the fourth quarter to a winless team, that's a tough pill to swallow, Coach.
They're all a tough, Clarence, when that happens.
Yeah.
I've been there.
Yeah.
I've been there, so I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And it's even tougher when you got these people who will come out of the woodwork in New Orleans with all kind of dress and outfit and everything.
Yeah, especially the money that you spend.
And they're thinking they're going to the Super Bowl. Ain't going to happen.
Yeah, the emotional investment in that team, it makes it really, really tough. Down by 11 points with 6:52 left in regulation. Is this why you're always preaching, Clarence, these are professionals?
That's right. These are professional. No matter what team you're playing, they could be the worst record, but they're still professionals.
Yeah.
And they got people on that team who are good players.
Yeah.
They just hadn't been able to win.
Uh-huh. At what point does pride in the uniform that you put on and the check that you are earning give you that extra oomph to get over the hump?
Well, those guys know, many of them have 1-year contract and they got to play hard all the time so they could have a contract for the next year.
Right.
Football is a very vicious and dangerous sport.
Oh, yeah.
You're one play away from it all being over with.
Yeah.
So, but you have to play hard because you're being judged.
Oh, yeah.
On every play.
Yeah.
Because when they go back and break down the film, they're looking for who's giving max effort or less than max effort. So they're looking for those guys.
And if I'm the coach and you're making, I don't know, 5 to 10 times what I'm making and you're not pulling your weight, it's not going to take much for me to go to the GM and say, we need to let this guy go because he's not helping carry the load.
Depending on who that guy is. You can't just go and let a guy with a guaranteed contract go because guaranteed contract
with
is
salary cap and everything else.
I mean, a lot of things are invested, but the guys who don't have the guarantee, you can let go, and which we see happening quite often. Guys clear waiver.
Oh yeah,
and they bring in. So those guys don't have guaranteed contracts.
You talk about those guys that make that kind of money, guaranteed contracts and the like. Do you think that's why little Nicky has never thought about venturing back into the professional ranks?
Them guys couldn't stand Little Nicky.
I make 5 times the money. You better get out my face.
They don't want Little Nicky hollering at them and making them. They ain't gonna fly in the NFL. Those guys gonna say, "Hey man, listen, I ain't your kid.
If you know what's good for you, you'll get out my face."
Nicky
with your
better
finger.
stay in college where he can do all what he's doing, and leave them pro guys alone because they ain't taking it.
Yeah, the usually reliable, staunch Saints defense was scorched. 402 yards passing. That's about as uncharacteristic a defensive performance as you're going to get out of New Orleans.
Yeah, but I want to go back to something with coaching. Bill Purcell was probably, Belichick is a little different, but they all came from the same tree.
Right.
Purcell wouldn't embarrass him on the sideline.
Right.
He would get in there and say, maybe that contract you got need to be voided. That's what he would tell a guy in the
That'll light a fire.
Huh?
That'll light a fire.
So
without being ugly about it.
Without being ugly. That's the difference between a big guy like Purcell and Nicky being a smaller guy. Right. He had to exhibit the fire in his belly.
Right.
You got me?
Napoleonic. What do they call that? Napoleonic
syndrome.
Syndrome. Yeah.
But you were talking about the Saints. I got off track.
Yeah.
But I couldn't pass up on the Bill Purcell.
Yeah.
Because people need to know that those kind of guys ain't coming back. The Bill Parcells ain't coming back.
Right.
And pretty much the players really run the league.
Yeah.
You know, and the coaches who are smart allow them to do their thing and find a happy medium where they can communicate with them.
And if there was anybody that could have literally, pardon the pun, thrown his weight around, it would have been Bill Parcells, as a big, physically statured guy that he is. One of the things that really stood out to me, big plays really hurt the Saints. 7 plays over 20 yards. Again, uncharacteristic of a Saints defense.
I never liked the Saints defense this year. They could say whatever they want. They don't have the quality defensive backs, and I just don't see them being able to compete because you know, I look for you. I look for them. They just don't have it.
Right.
You know, and so you're going to give up big plays. You don't have probably the linebackers you need to be successful. You're just not. This team just doesn't have. You know, I can be a little more negative about them than LSU because they're New Orleans.
But now, and
they're professional, and those LSU guys are amateur.
Yeah, they're young men. When the injury situation improves, you get your Michael Thomas back, you get all the missing cogs in the wheel. What do you think their chances are then?
It doesn't get any better.
Doesn't get much better?
If you don't have the defense is what's going to win the championship for you. You know, that's why I like a team like San Diego. That defense is real. They've got that stud on the defensive line. They got some studs, and you know, even Dallas is playing better defensively.
Yeah,
that's why they're winning. They may think it's the quarterback, but because the defense is holding its end of the bargain, makes it easier for the offense.
Speaking of not holding up your end of the bargain, first time this year, the Saints defense went an entire game and did not get a single sack.
There it is then.
Yeah.
Against a losing record.
Against a losing record. Yeah. and it's tough when and statistics obviously can be skewed one way or another, and depending on who you are and how you look at it, it can say different things. But the Saints significantly won the time of possession battle. They significantly won the third down conversion battle, and they significantly won the rushing battle. And yet, they still lost.
I saw where the quarterback, Jameis Winston, went 18 for 23.
First time this season he's thrown for over 200 yards.
But he only threw 5 incompletion, and they lost. Something is wrong.
Yeah.
You know how hard that is to just go a whole game and only have 5 incompletion and not win? And you outrushed them.
And you outrushed them. You won the time of possession battle. You won the third down conversion battle. Only 5 incompletions, and yet you lose.
Something ain't right there. I don't know what it is, but I know you'll figure it out and tell me.
What would you hope a team would take away from a loss like this?
Guys, we played just well enough to lose. I guess that's what you can take away because they lost. So we played well enough just to lose. We got to do a little more to win. I mean, there ain't much more they could do other than maybe score a few more points.
It's really tough when you snatch victory from the jaws of defeat.
Snatch it.
Let's snatch it. Just saying. We are so enamored and so grateful for the newest member of the sponsorship family, Calme's Power Sports, our friends over in Denham. Listen, guys, girls, y'all are Louisiana people. You understand lagniappe. You understand great service. You understand great selection. And you certainly understand service after the sale. If you're looking for new or pre-owned motorcycles, ATVs, watercraft, go talk to the other folks. You know, do your due diligence, shop around, see who's selling what for what. But don't do yourself a disservice by not going see the good folks at Cal Mees. We're talking Louisiana folk that know how to treat Louisiana folk. Nothing against, our friends and neighbors in Mississippi. Nothing against our friends and neighbors up north in Arkansas or the Lone Star State of Texas. Nothing against those fine folk. But when it comes to Louisiana folks, nobody knows how to treat us the way other Louisiana folks do. I am one of those. I'm not a betting man, but I'll take odds on this. If you are in the market, new or used, motorcycle, ATV, four-wheeler, whatever, and you don't go and see the folks at Cal Mees, you're doing yourself a serious disservice. And if you would, please, when you go by, be so kind, let them know that you heard about him and you came to see him after watching the Coach Roger Cador show. Final break of today's show. We'll come back and wrap this thing up as we continue the Roger Cador show only on the Pelican. Stay close.
Got termites? Get Premier Pest. PremierPestServices.com.
Looking to get some keys made, locks rekeyed, or a wide variety of new and used safe? Then look no further than the trusted choice of Alfred Safe and Lock. Conveniently located off of Government Street in Mid-City, Baton Rouge. Trust the expert locksmith at Alfred for all of your residential, commercial, and industrial lock and safe needs. Trusted by Baton Rouge and me, Roger Cador, to protect what is yours since 1946. Hey, Coach Roger Cador here. There's something about teamwork that brings the best out in any business. When I need a tow, I call Roadrunner Towing. Roadrunner's 4 generations strong and homegrown right here in Baton Rouge.
Thanks, Coach. There's no job too large or too small. Call Roadrunner for quick, reliable, exceptional service. We don't want an arm and a leg. We just want your toes. And remember, take time each day to be a blessing to someone. Thank you.
Caught spiders? Premier Pest Services.
Welcome back to the final segment of Week 5 of the Roger Cador Show. If you would, Marty, I see you working on it. Thank you, my friend. Coach, we were talking earlier, and I mentioned the fact that in an interview with Deion Sanders, Coach Prime, as he prefers to be called, he mentioned the fact that he doesn't like HBCU football on Thursday nights on ESPN, saying that our people are weekend football people. And particularly if you are employed, you're not retired, then you got to work on Thursday, you got to work on Friday. So in all likelihood, if the game is televised, you're getting off from work, you know you got to work the next morning, I'm just going to stay home and watch the game on TV. And as a result of that, when the ESPN camera shows a stadium shot, nothing. Nobody's there. And that's not a good representation of the universities involved and the product that they're putting on the field. What comes to mind when you hear his argument?
Well, it makes sense what he's saying. But I also go back to looking at Thursday night football didn't just start with the SWAC or HBCUs.
Right.
Those lesser leagues. I've watched Appalachian State, who was a powerhouse in Division II.
Right.
But they had to go to Thursday night if they wanted to be on.
If they wanted the exposure.
And that's, what are you going to do? You think ESPN is going to knock one of the big players off to put you on?
No.
I mean, I understand. I've sympathized with him. Everything he says makes sense.
Right.
where do you go from there? You know, where do you squeeze them in?
Yeah.
It's a business. It's business.
Oh, yeah, pure and simple.
And that's, Deion is a little late to the party. And he been here several years ago.
Right.
Maybe things could be different. And he's going to make some changes.
Right.
He's going to force some opportunities in some sweet spot that they can. But right now, then it's not happening.
Yeah. Well, anytime you see on an Aflac commercial, you see Nick Saban doing a series with the head coach from Jackson State, that tells you that things are changing.
They are changing.
In that regard.
They're not going to change overnight.
Oh, no.
We didn't get here.
Didn't get there overnight.
So we're going to have to crawl our way out to get it. And we're going to have to be able to beat some people. And we're going to have the kind of, if I can say it, that 2002 and 2003 baseball team I had, you're going to have something like that that can go compete against the big boys.
Yeah.
You know,
you got to be an App State to upset somebody that's a big dog.
You got to have the personnel. Then people know you know, and we could go and compete against the top-notch teams. But you know, it's just tough to do it in football.
The old saying in advertising is, it doesn't matter if they're saying something good about you or if they're saying something bad about you, as long as they're talking about you. How far does that go in this conversation with the exposure factor of TV for HBCU football?
As long as they're saying something, it's got to be good, though. We can't have negative things being said about. Remember, so many negative things were falsely said about HBCUs.
Correct.
So you can't continue to have it being said.
Yeah.
When so many good things have happened with HBCUs.
Yeah.
And so just say, long as something is being said, it's not enough.
Right.
It's got to be said properly and correct. And talk about the tremendous amount of goodwill that HBCUs have given the country.
Yeah.
You know?
And speaking of, one of those things is current NFL commentator and co-host of Good Morning America, Michael Strahan. He's a Hall of Famer. And last week they announced that he's gone in his pocket. And for those of you that are going to Arlington for the Texas Southern game, you're going to notice Texas Southern entire team has brand new football helmets, courtesy of Michael Strahan, who went in his pocket and purchased helmets for the entire TSU, his alma mater's football team. Which leads me to ask, those of us who love HBCU football, grew up on HBCU football, rooting for Southern, Grambling, Jackson State, Alcorn, FAMU, Bethune-Cookman, whomever, do we do enough to support these institutions these days, understanding what the economic climate is and the challenges we face? Are we doing enough support-wise?
Well, some people are doing what they can. It can always use more support.
Those who can.
Those who can.
Are they doing enough?
No.
I was going to have to pull it out of you. Doggone it. Give it to me, Roger. Give it to me.
No, they're not doing enough.
Yeah, I don't
think it's the way we're going to be able to get them to support them. You've got to wine and dine them. You've got to, you got to really do things in a way that people, those kind of people, you got to find a way to make them feel important. You got me? I don't think you can make them feel guilty and get it done.
Right.
I think you have to make them feel good about trying to do something.
And you got to make it easy for them to support the product.
That's right. Make it easy.
I mean, I don't want to call any names because I've seen it in too many locations. But when I go to an HBCU game, sometimes it takes me longer in the car to get off campus than it does to watch the game.
Yeah.
And after so many times of that, I'm like, I got better things to do with my time than to spend more time in traffic than I do in the stadium.
Right, exactly.
Make it conducive for me to want to spend my money. Couple of things real quick. Major League Baseball playoffs, 3 LSU Tigers involved. DJ LeMahieu with my Yankees, Alex Bregman with the hated Astros, Kevin Gausman with the Giants. Bodes well for the LSU baseball program and the job they've done over the years.
Oh, yeah, they've done well, and, now those guys are in the playoff, and kudos to them, and I think it's going to be an exciting playoff. Remember, this is the first full season since the COVID-19, so, this is a whole different ball game.
Speaking of LSU baseball, Collegiate Baseball Magazine announcing this week that new LSU baseball skipper Jay Johnson landing the 6th best recruiting class in all of America. How much weight do you put behind that, Coach?
You don't want to be number 1 because if you don't win, they'll blame you. So you want to be number 20 and then have a good recruiting class.
Yeah. Wow, look at this guy did with the number 20
there
class.
You go. And even number 6, somebody got a number 1 recruiting class that was probably not number 1. It's somebody writing stuff.
Yeah,
that's
and
what they really do.
It's all conjecture anyway.
Right, exactly. So, he's better than not saying number 1, though. Not with these fans.
Oh, no. Now, at the same time, Collegiate Baseball Magazine also rated 7 of the top 10 recruiting classes in all of America are SEC schools.
Yeah.
No surprise there.
No surprise there.
Yeah. Finally, Coach Kim Mulkey, new ladies basketball coach at LSU, announcing this week that the first practice for the soon-to-get underway basketball season, they are opening it up to the public. Great PR move. Obviously, she gets it.
She gets it. That's really good. They're not as fanatical with women basketball.
Right.
So they're not going to jump out of the stand on her. Kim, you'll be okay.
Yeah.
You're a home girl.
Yeah. Now, they're not as rabid as of yet, but with the Louisiana girl at the helm, embracing Louisiana and Louisiana culture, my gut tells me it's not going to be long. We're going to be rabid about some ladies basketball at Louisiana State.
And that'll be good for the state of Louisiana.
Amen.
And LSU.
Yeah. And it can only bode well as far as recruiting is concerned, keeping our Louisiana girls at home as far as revenue is concerned, national exposure is concerned. I'm excited, more so than I've been at any point in recent memory, for LSU basketball with the brand new coach and the direction that the program is heading in. Well, that is going to do it for week 5 of the Roger Cador Show. On behalf of the coach, the entire crew out in the truck, mighty floor director extraordinaire here at here at Smokehouse Barbecue, 10655 Coursey Boulevard. Don't shoot me, Alan. Old habits die hard, my friend. We look forward to seeing you next week with another edition of the Roger Cador Show, only on the Pelican.